Hello, I am Dennis Gist, and I am here to introduce the third in a series of interviews with Able Seaman Jerry Shepherd, with Deborah Marr. In this installment, Jerry discusses how after serving in World War II, he re-enlisted for the Korean War and ended up serving on his original ship, HMAS Bataan.
Hello once again, I'm Deborah Marr, and this is the third podcast for the VMC that we are working with and interviewing Jerry Shepherd, who is an able seaman in the Royal Australian Navy. Today he's going to be talking to us about his experience in the Korean War. He'll talk about his experiences and his fears whilst dealing with that war. Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you, Deborah.
We're very blessed again to hear a little bit about your experience in the Korean War, which was from 1950 to 1953.
Correct. Thank you, Deborah. With my rejoining the Navy for the Korean War, my first ship was the HMAS Anzac, which was a British-designed battle-class destroyer built here in Williamstown, Melbourne. I stayed on the Anzac for 3 months, then rejoined the HMAS Bataan for the Korean War. The Bataan was a tribal class destroyer built on Cockatoo Island in Sydney Harbour. The most important event for us on the HMAS Bataan shortly after arriving in Korea was when the enemy shore battery fired at us and hitting us. Upon being fired at, their shell exploded in our captain's cabin. Fortunately, our captain was on the bridge. Whilst on our guns, we were out in the open, having the enemy shells whistling past you. Yes, it was stressful in the extreme. Also, yet another event was when we bombarded the Haeju Peninsula on the east coast of Korea. We put our South Korean soldiers ashore to capture the Haeju Peninsula, and our South Korean soldiers, they discovered a minefield, so they made the North Korean enemy walk into their own minefield, so they all were blown up. That's all, thank you.
Yes, well, Jerry, that must actually plant all sorts of images in your mind. Has that carried with you throughout your life?
Yes, it just accentuates the feeling how futile war is. War is so ugly, and you're stuck with this throughout your whole life.
And also with the hesitance to take South Koreans in as prisoner of war. Do you know why there was that hesitancy?
On both sides, the North and South Koreans were so nasty towards each other, so any chance they had of demonstrating their nastiness, they would achieve it.
And when the war ended, was it the same relief from everybody on your ship?
Yes, we'd been away from home for almost 1 year, and 24 hours a day, it seems that like 24 hours a day, you've got pressure on you. It's amazing how much a human body can withstand the pressure that's put on you for so long. This went on for almost 1 year.
And there would have been fantastic camaraderie and mateship that was developed after the wars. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. When you leave the services for a year or two, it takes you a year or two to sort of settle back into a normal way of life. But after a year or two, you yearn to meet up with your fellow sailors, in my case, and you build up that affinity between all of us. So we began the HMAS Bataan Veterans Association, where we'd meet and have our times together.
And I'm sure that you have left your own legacy within the the Royal Australian Navy. Can you think about any legacy that you would like to pass on to new and upcoming recruits into the Royal Australian Navy?
Well, yes, if you sailors are somewhat different to the Army and Air Force. You're living on top of each other. You can't go to another building for messes. There's eating messes and all that sort of thing in the other, but you're living on top of each other, and that does build a camaraderie. You need each other to survive.
That's right, and it's good to hear that you could actually share those stories, as horrible as they could be, with your fellow comrades through the RSL and different ways.
You are so right, Deborah.
Yes. So thank you so much for listening again, and I thank so much for Jerry sharing his emotions and his feelings, because we know that war is
Ugly.
an ugly thing to have to deal with, so we're most grateful. Thank you.